I went ahead and I put in for ASM school and got it. So I went off to ASM school, and then I graduated from ASM school, and I got sent to Sitka, Alaska. The rescue swimmer program was new, and here we are. We showed up, me and one other guy, and we were the new swimmers, and we were the big talk, So when we showed up, they're like, "Oh, you guys are the big bad rescue swimmers." But there was a lot of resentment, The guys were like, "Oh, you guys, And even the pilots were like, "I'll never use you," He says, "I get on scene and I got one person in the water, and then I put you in the water. Now I got two people in the water." He said, "Why would I do that?" We kind of met with opposition. The swimmer program, a lot of people don't know. We showed up, and we actually, our job was to sell it to them. Like, "Hey, you guys need this." I was lucky enough, but I got the very first case in Alaska. So I got to claim the fame that I was the very first rescue swimmer ever deployed in Alaska on a SAR case. And there was a downed helicopter. It was a Forest Service helicopter. So we launched. We ran out to the helicopters. We took off. And in Alaska, what you do is you fly into channels, because there's 3,000-foot mountains on both sides of you. So you have to fly through the channel. So we knew it was near the Sturgis Narrows, and we take off. We're taking off. We're flying through we're getting kind of close to the point where the helicopter had crashed. The snowstorm hits us. The same snowstorm hit down now. It was amazing. It was just the heaviest snow you'd ever see. It was like, all of a sudden we're flying slower. Next thing you know, we're in a hover. And then the pilot, it was an old H-3 helicopter. He set it down in the water. And they're made that. They had boat hulls. They were able to land in the water. We come to Sturgis Narrows. It's where the big channel comes and becomes a real skinny channel. And there's a little island there. It's called Sturgis Narrows, little island. We saw 4 bodies up on the beach. It was all rocks, and you could see where they pulled themselves up. So I swam over to the island, and they were all, of course, severely hypothermic, and the pilot had a hurt back. And I'm like, how am I going to get these guys on the helicopter? Well, then the H-3 helicopter was bigger, so I had packed a 7-man raft, swam back. I went to swim back to the helicopter, and where Sturgis Narrows is, the current is moving so fast through there. It's just amazing. It forms eddies that will suck you down. So as I'm swimming back to the helicopter, I'm like, oh my God, I'm swimming, because I had to swim at a crab to get to the helicopter. And when the flight mech, he put his hand out to grab me, and when I quit swimming, when I went to grab his hand, the current swept me away. I missed his hand, and I got swept over, and then I hit my head on the sponson, and next thing you know, I'm pushing myself off the bottom of the helicopter. So I'm being swept away. And then when I popped back up, I'm like, I figured that was it. I'm done. I'm heading for these eddies. Not good. But the pilot was really good. So I saw the helicopter lift off the water, and he did a tail whip, whipped it around, brought it over, and cut me off, before I went to those eddies. And I was able to crawl back into the helicopter. Got in the helicopter, and I'm like, hey, we still got to go get these guys, So they taxied back over, and I'm like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I said, I'm not gonna swim the raft back, but we have trail lines on board. It's a big, long 100-foot line that we lower down the boats to deliver litters and baskets. So I said, look, I'm gonna grab one end, hook it to me, and I'm gonna swim back to shore, and you guys hold on to it. I swam back to shore, pulled the line in, got the raft there, pulled it, it inflated. And so once it inflated, now I had inflated a raft with a line going back out to the helicopter. I proceeded up the rocks and started to grab these guys one by one, carried them, put them in the raft. And the guy with the hurt back, brought him over, carried him like this over the rocks and stuff and ice and snow, and put them in the raft. And once they were in the raft, the flight mech pulled the raft back to the helicopter, and then I tended the other trail line so the current wouldn't whip them back into the tail rotor. So we were able to fly them back to the Sitka and got them treated. They went to the hospital and stuff, and they were in the hospital a couple days. And that was the first case we ever did. And then after that, a lot of the pilots and flight mechs said, we never could have did that without a rescue swimmer. I don't know how they would have. They're like, we're not sure how we would have got those guys off there you know, they would have had to call a boat, and it probably would have been too late because they were freezing, you know. And so that's what helped, you know, get this swimmer program going.